time to shift gears and slow down. So hopefully you've got the end of your mat up against the wall. And if you have a block, go ahead and put that just between your upper back. I've got it on my flat side, my 3-inch side, 4-inch side, and it's just more of a reminder not to slouch. So I've got my shoulders holding the block against the wall, so it elevates my collarbone slightly toward my chin and it closes the throat. So just sit up here. And I always throw this disclaimer in: if something just really feels awkward or uncomfortable, especially in a yoga stretch class, just take the block out if you don't like it. So just try it there and notice how that is kind of a physical cue to help sit up nice and tall. Let's just let our hands rest on our thighs, palms facing the ceiling, facing the sky. Take some full deep breaths. Breathing in and out through the nose. And just close your eyes and just literally let your awareness follow your breath as it goes into your body. Goes into your body and creates space. Opens things up. Imagine it traveling all the way down your spine, as if you're trying to inflate your tailbone. And what is that breath finding deep down inside? Is it finding tension? Residues of stress? What have you got tucked away in the dark places within yourself? As you continue to breathe, and now become aware of the light and the life that's coming in with that breath, that life source, that life force. And then turning your awareness to the exhale as the breath travels back out. Imagine it taking that stress, that negative energy, the tension, the anxiety, the worries, taking it all out on the exhale. Just like your body rids itself of its metabolic waste or respiratory waste products on an exhale. Just energetically release that tension. And go ahead and lean forward a little bit. Take that block out. And we're just going to go ahead and come around all fours. And actually pull our hips back into child's pose. I have a clock that I have to prop up to keep track of time here. And then just pull the hips back and really stretch those arms out. And the first time we do that, just go ahead and have your palms flat on the floor Really spreading your fingertips. So notice the sensation that travels up your arm and into your shoulder based on where you put your hands and how you place your hands. And gently tugging into the mat, round your back to come up. And gently arch. And then come to neutral. And then turn your hand sideways now. So we're going to put the side of our hand into the ground. And again, pull the hips back. Do it nice and slow. And feel what's happening with your shoulders because of the difference, of the change in hand positions. Just come back up. As you come up, go ahead and come back onto your palms. This last hand position, this is one of those that some people are going to say, oh, this feels great. Other people are going to feel like this doesn't feel good at all. So be mindful, but move into it slowly so you give yourself a chance to feel it. So I've got my palms up. So I've got the back of my hands on the mat. And I might even put them a little bit wider than my shoulders. And then I'm going to very slowly draw my hips back and feel that stretch in my shoulders. If this doesn't feel good, take your hands, to a different position. And we'll come back up again. Coming back to all fours, put the palms on the ground. And we're just going to do a few cat-cows, rounding and arching, just getting that spine moving. So be aware of two lines. You got the line that runs from your head to your tail, and that back that's rounding and arching. So basically following your spine. But you've got the other line that comes across your shoulders. So the shoulders round and then the spine collapses through. So you've got two lines, or two different planes moving here. Back and forth. Alright. And then just come to neutral. And if you have a block, you might want to grab it. We're going to go ahead and step the right foot in front. And just reach out that foot and then slowly shift forward so the knee comes over the ankle. And then we're going to push into that front foot to shift back. And then to shift forward, we're going to push into the front of the left leg that's on the floor. So do that with your hands down. And then gradually move your hands to your thigh. And just this gentle shifting and limbering. That's what we're after. Dynamic stretching, dynamic mobility. Alright. So then we try to get the knee over the ankle in front. What the block is going to let us do is get this back leg pulled back a little farther without putting our knee directly into the ground. So I want to lift this leg up. I don't know if you can see that. I want to turn sideways so you guys can see that. So what I want to do here is put the block under that shin and then shift my hips a little farther forward. So see how that thigh is angling backwards? That's what you want to get, because we want to get a nice deep stretch in the hip flexor, right up into here. So come up to where you're supporting yourself first. We're just going to walk our way into this. Go as far as you want to. And if you want to really take that stretch more deeply, reach up overhead. One more breath. And then on an exhale, bring the hands down, pull that leg back, come back to all fours. And then we're just going to get the other leg in front. The left foot's going to come to the front now. So it reaches out. Let me illustrate that. It's going to reach out. So you come forward to bring that knee over the ankle. So you get that dynamic, pushing into the back leg to shift forward, pushing into the front foot to go back. You want to have your hands down, you can, on that thigh. This is a good mobilizer for the hip. And just hold that briefly. You still keep gentle engagement in your core so your spine has some support. And then to take that deeper, we take the block, put it under the shin, and that's going to elevate us and give us more clearance to wiggle that front foot out farther and let this thigh reach back. And that's what we're after. So we really open this back leg to the back, front leg to the front. And if you feel stable enough to reach up, keep breathing in and out. Let your breath tell you if you need to back off. You should be able to take full deep breaths. If you're finding you keep reverting back to shallow breathing and fast breathing, or holding your breath, your body may be saying, hey, I need a little gentler approach. Let's go ahead and come out of that. We'll come back down to all fours. So we're going to go ahead and bring those legs back around, and you probably see a front to back vibe going here. We just stretched the front of where the thighs meet the pelvis. Now we're going to move to the back and start out with a seated staff pose. So go ahead and sit up nice and tall. If you can't sit up straight with your torso, bend your knees till your torso is perpendicular. Then try to keep that up and down while you press the backs of your knees toward the ground. So we're just letting that chest, try to press the chest forward. Keep the back flat. And then slowly soften the back of the legs. The tail's going to roll under and the feet are going to fall away. And that starts the spine rounding. And you just continue that rounding now by walking the hands down the sides of the legs and do a seated forward fold. So just notice how far you go and what this feels like. Because usually we think of our main limiting factors with these last two stretches, the staff pose and this forward fold, as tight hamstrings, tight back muscles. But I think we're going to do something that may make you aware of some other players in that game. Alright, so come on up. So we are going to come into a pigeon pose. And I'm going to have my right leg in front. So start out by just bringing that right leg forward and rotating the knee out to the side. Now sometimes, and I find this to be true in some cases, but you might try tucking a block under that front leg. And you want to still be able to keep your hips squared up. If you're having to come way over to the one side, then, don't open this leg quite as much. So two things are going on here. We should be feeling a stretch in the right hip and also in the front of the left hip flexor. So support yourself with your hands first and just feel a heaviness, like your body is trying to sink right out of your waist, like it's just trying to sink right down into the ground. And then we can go ahead and walk down to our forearms as long as it doesn't take away from the stretch in the hip. Again, connect with your breathing here and just imagine the breath going down and into that tight hip, that right hip. Creating space, breathing out the muscle tension, deepening the stretch on an exhale. And sometimes the deepening doesn't really even involve a change in your body position, it's just a deepening release. Your hip is literally like an onion. There's so many layers of muscle to work through to get everything stretched. And that's why you can't just hold this for 15 seconds and expect to get all the way through all those layers. So we are staying here a little longer. Keep breathing. Now let's put the hands underneath the shoulders, start to lift up. If you do have a block there, take it out. We're just going to rock onto the outside of that leg. Now bring that other leg, that left leg around, and either cross it inside the knee or all the way across. Again, your body position is going to tell you where to put that foot. If you're having to tip way over to get it across, then bring it back over here. So again, just that sense that that whole right leg from the foot through the knee, through the hip is just heavy and softening and relaxing, sinking. And take your left hand, lift your ribs as you rotate, and bring your right arm across, brace into that leg. And just let the leverage of your arm against your leg help rotate the rib cage. And then imagine that right hip sinking even lower. And then just breathe into that twisted torso. One more full deep breath, inhaling, and start to release on an exhale. So release that upper body. Take another breath in. And then on the next exhale, uncross your legs, release your legs. Straighten them out, give them a little shake. And we'll move on to the other side. So bring your legs back around. So we're going to bring our left leg forward. And again, as soon as it's coming forward, it's starting to rotate, open the knee out to the side. And then reaching back through that right leg is shifting your whole pelvis backwards. Place a block if you feel like you need it. I just find that for my bone structure, it seems to work well to put one in there. It doesn't mean it's necessary for everybody or even ideal for everybody. But what I'm after here is a feeling of a deep stretch happening in that hip, those deep glute muscles, and then also into the front of the hip flexor on that right leg. So support yourself at first and just really get that sinking feeling in your pelvis and your hip, heaviness, like it's just literally getting sucked into the ground. And if you can lower to your forearms without losing the stretch in the hip, do that. If you need to stay up, do what you need to do. Keep taking those full deep breaths and just think about all the layers that have to release in that hip. Breathe in and out. chest up again. We're not rushing in or out of this. Go ahead and take the block out. Come on to the outside of that left thigh. Bring your right leg around, either inside the knee or across the knee. And just a case in point here, I can come across the knee when I'm doing this side, and I can't very well on the other side. So you may find a similar asymmetry. It's just, it's just how we are. So again, just try to release and just let that tension, it's almost like the tension's just draining into the ground, draining into the mat. And go ahead and reach back with that left arm. Start to turn the ribs. The right arm, I'm sorry. Left arm across, opposite arm to knee. And I'm used to teaching like I'm mirroring the class, so when I'm saying left, you guys are doing right. But what I'm seeing on these videos when they show up on Facebook, it's like I'm already teaching into a mirror, so my brain's trying to is that cancel it out, or I don't know, so just try to follow the same side as I do. Breathe in and out of that twisted torso. So the shoulders are strong but not tense. Let's take one more full breath in. And then on the exhale, release the upper body. Let's inhale again. And then on that exhale, release the lower body and then cross the legs. So straighten out those legs, give them a little shake. And then we're going to revisit our staff pose and our forward fold. So go ahead and get torso upright. And then start to pull your legs towards your knees and then press the back of your knees toward the floor as much as you can. Push your chest forward. Notice if you feel like you can go a little farther. And then relax, let the feet fall away. Come into that seated forward fold, and now see how far you can come forward. See if releasing those hips has made a difference. All right, let's go ahead and sit up nice and tall. And we're going to move back to the wall again and just use it to help us sit up nice and tall with cobbler's pose. So come back to the wall, keep your block handy, and start out with your knees open, hanging onto your lower legs. And we usually do this and we think about just putting our soles of our feet together, so just do that and feel the soles of your feet together. Breathe in and out. And slowly relax your lower legs and just see if you can open your big toes out like a book. In fact, you might even guide them a little bit. So I'm going to use my thumbs to pull my big toes open and my fingers to push my pinky toes. So literally it's like opening a book. And then just release that and try to keep that open. And at the same time, you're trying to, it's almost like you're trying to draw your legs a little bit in towards your groins and just sit up a little higher and taller in the torso. Relax from that. And then we're going to put our block out further away. Walk our feet up onto it. And put our hands by our hips and then push our hips as close to the block as we can get them, but lean back. So it's still an inner thigh stretch, but it's changed the way our thigh bones are coming into our pelvis. And this again is going to be something that some people are going to find that this feels really good and they can get really deep into it, and other people will find that this, putting that block there, just changes everything and not in a good way. So be mindful of your anatomy. And if you need to scoot the hips back a little bit, see if you can reach through and just hang on to the block. And now your legs can be completely passive. So the things that vary is where your hip sockets are placed in your pelvis, and the way that ball comes off of your thigh bone and the angle it comes off your thigh bone. It's just amazing how much it can vary. Alright, so let's go ahead and take that out. Give our legs a little shake. And then we're going to go ahead, hopefully you've got your strap tonight, and again that block kind of handy to give yourself some support if you need it. And what I would suggest doing, I'm gonna talk you through this. I think you'll be fine. You don't have to be able to see what I'm doing. If you can turn around and you watch me set up, and if you want to watch me real quick before you lay down, that's fine. But what we want to do is actually lay down tonight, and it's almost like we're in mountain pose, except we're horizontal instead of vertical. So you're standing with your feet on your wall, literally, basically lying on your back with your feet on your wall. But the same pressure points or contact points, your big toe mound, small toe mound, inner heel and outer heel. So we're going to root one leg into the wall. It'd be like we were doing this whole thing with the strap, trying to stand on one leg. So you want to root into the wall like you're standing on that leg that's still connected to the wall. So what we're going to do here is just, feel that first. Then go ahead and bend your right knee. Bring that leg in, and that's when you can hook the strap across the ball of your foot. You can also grab your big toe if you don't have a strap. It just can be a harder way to stretch. But if you have the strap, you've got one end of the strap in each hand, the right hand and left hand. The strap's right across where the ball of the foot goes into the arch. Root that left foot into the wall, and then just draw that right leg in the direction of your head. So when you feel that muscle tension in the back of that right leg, breathe in. As you breathe out, try to release the muscles. And just do that with each breath. Just very gradual, subtle deepening with each breath. At the same time, you're keeping your head and your neck as relaxed as possible. So you've got purposeful tension in part of your body and release and relaxation in another part. Again, it takes time for these muscles to go through layers and release. Alright, so put both ends of the strap into your right hand and get some good tension on it. Hang on to it. We're going to let that leg open to the right side. And then feel like it's extending out to the right side into that strap. Now you might, hopefully if you use that strap, use it to support your leg. If you feel like you just need some kind of support there, tuck a block in. You can be clear up under your thigh if need be. Just something to make it feel like you're not going to like overstretch your inner thigh muscles. And then as you're reaching to that right leg, continue to root into that left leg. You know, that left leg's kind of an anchor point against the wall. And then slowly reach your left hand out to the side. So you've got a cross body, left shoulder to right hip, diagonal opening going on. And then again, use the breath. Work with your breath to deepen the stretch, release the tension. Give it time. You've got lots of that right now, so use it to your advantage. Take one more full deep breath. And then start to bring that left hand across to pick up the tail of the strap. Start to bring that leg all the way across. So now we're going to have to turn that foot on the wall and literally bring it all the way over. Reach across our body now. So you've turned your left foot, so you've got your toes, the side of your foot on the floor now. You're reaching your right leg across your body. So there's an active element to that. It's not just, it doesn't just flop over and lay on the floor. And what you can do here is take your right hand, it's now free, and just very gently push on the flesh on the top of that right hip, and just feel that how it separates or starts to draw the hip away from the ribs. And then just breathe in and out. Release that top hip. So get both hands on that strap again, start to bend that knee. Bring that knee into your body and take your foot out of the strap and return to that horizontal Tadasana, horizontal mountain pose. Got both feet on the wall. And just take a moment or two to compare how each side feels. And then we'll set up for the other side. So get that strong connection through the right foot against the wall now. Big toe mound, small toe mound, inner heel and outer heel. Bend your left knee so you can bring that leg in and get the strap across your left foot where the ball and the arch meet. Make sure you're still rooting strongly into the wall with your right foot. And then start to pull that left leg in the direction of your head. At the same time, rooting that right leg into the ground, so you're feeling a real strong sense of stability through the pelvis while you stretch it. Stretch the legs. Again, breathing into that muscle tension. Releasing on the exhale. Softening your face, trying to soften the shoulders somewhat, while keeping the stretch in the pelvis and the legs fairly active. put both ends of the strap into your left hand and let that left foot push into that strap, resist a little bit. So it's like you're extending it out to the side. This is a place where if you need to tuck a block in under your thigh, do so. If you need it, you don't have to do that, just as an extra piece of support. Still continuing to ground into that right leg against the wall. And start to reach that right arm out from the shoulder. Feel that opening of your torso from your right shoulder across the body down to the left hip. Let your breath create space, create opening, release tension. Take one more full deep breath. And then on an exhale, start to bring that left arm across and right arm across, and then transfer the strap into your right arm. Bring it over, and as you do, you're going to roll all the way onto your right side and bring that leg across, and your right foot is going to, the side of your right foot's going to be on the floor now too, so your toes are pointing to the right wall. So from here, take that left hand and literally you're just sliding the flesh on the outside of that hip, feeling how that opens up the top side of the pelvic or the torso between the ribs and the hip. And that just keeps you from collapsing sideways down to the ground. Breathe into that twisted torso. Feel how that stretches your deep abdominal muscles, rib cage muscles, and more or less wrings out the diaphragm. Take one more full deep breath. On an exhale, just start to release. Let that left knee bend. Come onto your back. Take your strap off. Your hips have shifted, so you'll need to recenter them. And just one more time, just come back to that horizontal mountain pose. This time, let your big toes come all the way together. Just notice how the two sides of your body feel. And start to relax, and what will happen as you relax is most of us, our toes are going to roll out, so just let that happen and bring your hands to the sides of your belly. And just literally imagine yourself breathing into your hands, in and out. And we're going to go ahead and transition into a Shavasana here, just a few moments, just to reconnect with the breath. So for Shavasana, you can stay with your legs straight. You could go ahead and lay with your knees open or just the knees bent. leaning into each other. But the bottom line is to get into a position where it literally takes no muscle tension at all to hold that position. You can become completely passive. Only active muscles are your breathing muscles, in and out. gradually start to bring your awareness back to your present space. Ease yourself out of Shavasana slowly and gently by rolling to your right side, pausing for a breath or two here. And then whenever you're ready, making your way back to Sukhasana or cross-legged pose. I'll leave you with this thought tonight. Attachment is what arises when we don't get our preference. We all have preferences. The blue shirt over the red, tea instead of coffee, and on and on. Preferences do not limit our life. What limits is the feeling that arises when we don't get our way. That feeling is attachment. And that's a feeling, I'm going to ad-lib a little bit here, that's a feeling I think that's something that we're having to detach from so many things that have become so routine in our lives, that loss of attachment is definitely, can affect us. So this is us to give you something to reflect on. When that feeling of attachment arises, notice it and unconsciously let it go. Namaste.